Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome everyone to this morning's public meeting for calendar year 15th public meeting of calendar year 2014, and ask that you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get seated, everyone, I'd ask that you join us in a moment of silence. As you know, this great nation was dealt a severe blow on September 11th, 2001. And let us all join together here this morning to recognize those that perished in that horrific event in New York City, and how as a nation and as a Commonwealth we rallied together. And today, obviously, in Schwenksville, Pennsylvania, Flight 93 will be remembered with a great honor from the U.S. Congress, with all the victims of Flight 93 will be recognized with a Congressional Gold Medal. So let's join together this morning as a PUC community in a moment of silence. Thank you. The first matter on this morning's agenda is the approval of the minutes from the July 24th meeting, and it's a pleasure to recognize Commissioner Brown as editor of the minutes. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. I have reviewed the minutes of the July 24th public meeting, and I move that they be approved as submitted.
Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. It's a pleasure to welcome to the podium Ms. Cheryl Walker Davis to begin this morning's public meeting. And I just want to remind her we're going to have spring training for the dunking throw next year. Cheryl looked like some of the relief pitchers for the Philadelphia Phillies this year. But I have great hope in her ability to make up for it in running this morning's public meeting. Cheryl?
I'll keep my day job, Mr. Chairman. May it please the Commission, on behalf of your various offices and bureaus, we present for your consideration and disposition the following agenda items, commencing this morning with matters on behalf of the Bureau of Administration. It is recommended that the Commission adopt on page 1 the first recommendation with regard to the request for a proposal for the telecommunications relay service provider, and the recommendation to pick a vendor for the provisioning of those services.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt the next two items on behalf of the Bureau of Administration with regard to the general assessment upon public utilities to fund the operations of the Office of Consumer Advocate and the Office of Small Business Advocate.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
And on page 2, continuing with matters on behalf of the Office of Administration, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the general assessment upon public utilities to fund the operations of the Public Utility Commission, as well as the supplemental federal shortfall assessment upon gas public utilities, as well as the assessment upon pipeline operators pursuant to Act 127 of 2011.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Continuing now with matters on behalf of the Bureau of Consumer Services, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the recommendation on page 3 with regard to PPL Electric Utilities Corporation's Universal Service and Energy Conservation Plan for 2014 to 2016.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On behalf of the Office of Special Assistance in omnibus fashion, we recommend the adoption of the items appearing on pages 4, commencing with the recommendation in the CSX Transportation Inc. proceeding, and continuing with the items on pages 4 and 5 through and including the recommendation in the proceeding involving Young and Harrells LLC versus Metropolitan Edison Company.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On page 6 of the agenda, we recommend the adoption of the staff recommendation in the proceeding involving Jan and Joyce Sparrott versus Metropolitan Edison Company, noting the joint statement of Commissioners Cawley and Brown.
So moved. Second. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Cawley for purposes of the joint statement. Commissioner Cawley.
Thank you, Chairman. This statement is, of course, on my behalf and that of Commissioner Brown. This is a Commission opinion and order granting in part, the exceptions filed by Metropolitan Edison Company to an initial decision by Administrative Law Judge Susan Caldwell, in which she found that the complainants, Jan and Joyce Spirat, had sustained their burden of showing that an exception is required and should be provided under MedEd's vegetation management plan, and that herbicides should not be applied to the right-of-way adjacent to complainant's home. The right-of-way is 60 feet wide. MedEd's proposed implementation includes an application of herbicides in the ground on the 40 feet that traverse the middle of the right-of-way. The remaining 10 feet on either side would receive an application to the leaves or just foliar treatment. Complainant's property consists of 44 acres. They've lived on their property for 41 years. The yard is approximately 35 to 40 yards downhill from the right-of-way. The home yard, a manicured garden, and dog kennels, which are home to championship dogs, are located at the bottom of a steep slope below the right-of-way. The administrative law judge found, as she did, based on Section 1501, which requires public utilities to provide, among other things, safe and reasonable service. Our order today finds that the complainants did not establish by a preponderance of evidence that MedEd intended to use herbicides or that their use of the herbicides will result in a violation of the code, a commission regulation or commission order. However, Commissioner Brown and I believe that the order focuses on the usage of the herbicides but fails to make an appropriate analysis regarding the exception for the use of herbicides and whether the Spirats have met their burden that such an exception is required. We disagree with the order that sustains MedEd's exceptions which will allow the company to apply herbicides which we believe will leach on to the Spirats' property, and therefore we respectfully dissent. The complainant's request is limited, and it deals only with a portion of the right-of-way immediately adjacent to their home, and the request is further limited in that it does not generally request that the use of herbicides be declared unreasonable service, as the order suggests. Rather, the ALJ correctly concluded that under Section 1501, given the particular facts of this case, reasonable service requires that MedEd use another process to clear the foliage. MedEd has itself utilized another type of herbicide or another method in the past, and it could do so here. We agree with the ALJ that based on the particular facts in this case, the complainants have successfully met their burden of proof to show that an exception to MedEd's vegetation management plan must be provided in this instance, and that failure to provide such an exception constitutes an unreasonable service under Section 1501 of the Code. Finally, we are also concerned that if herbicides do in fact leach and drift outside of the right-of-way, as feared by the complainants, that they and others who may be similarly situated will not be able to access any meaningful relief from the Commission, because obviously the harm will be done. For these reasons, we would affirm the ALJ's initial decision, and we respectfully dissent from the order.
So, Nate, is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, yes, I'd just like to note that I am sensitive to the complainant here and understand that when we have residential property owners and utilities that are employing vegetation management, that we from time to time run into situations where there is conflict between the two. In this particular instance, I believe that MedEd is using industry best practices. I think they are particularly sensitive to the issues with this particular homeowner as well as with others. This is not a unique situation with this homeowner, and this certainly won't be the last one. But I believe that they're taking the necessary safety precautions, and therefore I agree with the methods that they're employing for their vegetation management in this case.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Any additional comments? Hearing none, the motion passes 3-2, noting the joint statements of Commissioner Cawley and Brown.
We recommend the adoption of the staff recommendation, the remaining item on page 6 with regard to Billy Wilburn versus Pico Energy Company, noting that there should be a correction on the agenda. There's an inadvertent reference to Columbia. It should be Pico.
So noted. And go ahead. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously, noting our editorial change on Wilburn versus Pico Energy.
Thank you. Thank
not
you.
Columbia.
Continuing with the presentation of agenda items, on behalf of the Office of Special Assistance on page 7, we recommend the adoption of the first 2 items through and including the petition of PPL Electric Utilities Corporation for approval of a new pilot time of use program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
We recommend the adoption of the interconnection agreement between Frontier Communications of Lakewood LLC and IDT America Corp., noting the statement of Commissioner Brown.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Brown for purposes of her statement. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will just submit my statement for the record. I will be recusing from this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion passes 4-0, noting Commissioner Brown's recusal statement.
And on page 8 of the public meeting agenda, it is recommended that the commission adopt the staff recommendation in the proceeding involving the Verizon Pennsylvania LLC and Guidance Telecom LLC interconnection agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, in omnibus fashion, it is recommended that the commission adopt all items appearing on pages 9, 10, 11, 12, except the item in the middle pertaining to Constructure Technologies LLC, which has been postponed until public meeting of October the 2nd. The omnibus continues with remaining items on page 12, as well as the items on pages 13, 14, 15, and the first 2 items through and including Pennsylvania Electric Company and West Penn Power Company on page 16.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
We recommend the adoption of the staff recommendations in the next 3 cases involving Pennsylvania American Water Company line extension proposals, noting the statement of Commissioner Whitmer with regard to each of those 3 cases.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Whitmer for purposes of her combined statement. Commissioner Whitmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like my statement entered into the record as if I had read it in its entirety. Before the Commission today are proposed orders approving 3 separate applications for water line extensions filed by Pennsylvania American Water Company. Specifically, Pennsylvania American has applied to extend service to provide public water supply to 2 separate natural gas operations of Rex Energy in Connoquenessing and Lancaster Townships in Butler County, as well as XTO Energy's operations in Franklin and Quinessing Townships, also in Butler County. The 3 applications present compelling facts pointing to the economic and societal benefits of each water line extension. According to one application, Rex Energy will pay $600,000 toward the extension, which will afford 67 residential customers and 8 commercial customers the opportunity to connect to Pennsylvania American's system. In the second application, Rex Energy will contribute $500,000 toward the extension, which will provide 20 additional residential customers with potential access to the water system. Finally, XTO Energy will pay an estimated $2.6 million in support of the extension, which will afford 100 residential customers and 7 commercial customers the opportunity to connect to Pennsylvania American's system. Collectively, these proposals will afford 187 residential customers and 15 commercial customers with the opportunity to economically tie into a safe public water supply and provide fire protection through the installation of 31 fire hydrants where none currently exists. For its part, Pennsylvania American will begin receiving additional revenue from customers, with the bulk of capital costs being borne by Rex Energy and XTO, which are fully engaged in Pennsylvania's natural gas industry. Approval of each of these applications will assist in providing additional construction jobs, a source of clean, reliable, and potable water for the natural gas industry, residential and commercial customers, a reduction in truck traffic associated with the natural gas operations as water will be delivered via the pipeline, enhanced fire protection, and a positive financial impact for Pennsylvania American Water Company. These benefits should be highlighted by this commission because they are exactly the types of win-win scenarios created by the Commonwealth's all of the above and below energy strategy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitmer. Any further comments? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
It is recommended that the commission adopt the staff recommendation in the application proceeding involving World Energy Solutions, Inc., noted at the bottom of page 17, as well as all of the recommendations appearing on pages 18 and 19 through and including the recommendation in the line extension proceeding involving Pennsylvania American Water Company's Limerick Road and Sailor Road matter.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On page 20, on behalf of the Law Bureau, we recommend the adoption of the first recommendation in the proceeding involving the Alternative Energy Portfolio Standards Technical Reference Manual update.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Other than the note that Cheryl got very emotional under Act 129. I could sense that affinity for that great program that we have here in Pennsylvania. Any further comments? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
And we recommend the adoption of the staff recommendation of the proceeding involving Skytop Lodge, Inc., noting the joint statement of Commissioners Cawley and Brown.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Brown for purposes of the joint statement with Commissioner Cawley. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to submit our statement for the record, but I would like to highlight it. Before us for consideration is Skytop's petition for a supersedious, which seeks to stay the Commission's previous determination that Skytop Lodge is a public utility while its appeal of our decision is pending in Commonwealth Court. Commissioner Cawley and I believe that Skytop's petition should be granted. In the Public Utility Commission case versus Bukowski Brothers Incorporated, the Commission stated that in deciding whether to stay one of our orders pending appeal, this Commission should not indulge in a further review of the case. Rather, this Commission should concentrate solely on the effect our order will have on the pending appeal. Forcing Skytop to implement our order pending appeal will cause the lodge and its residents to incur significant regulatory compliance costs. These costs are non-refundable if Skytop is successful on appeal. The request for stay is unopposed. Finally, the status of Skytop's water service to its customers has not changed in decades, and no harm to these customers or the public will occur by staying the order pending appellate review. There is no pressing matter not to grant the request to stay while the legal process plays out. Also, we wish to point out that the Commission has not held an evidentiary hearing to explore the particular facts of this case. For all of these reasons, we respectfully dissent from the motion to deny Skytop's petition for supersedious. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Is there any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes 3-2, noting, the objections of Commissioner Cawley and Commissioner Brown.
And it is recommended on behalf of the Law Bureau on page 21 that the Commission adopt the recommendation with regard to the PennDOT application referral to the Court of Common Pleas.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On behalf of the Office of Administrative Law Judge, we recommend the adoption of the two matters appearing on page 22 through and including the recommendation in the People's Natural Gas Company purchase gas cost proceeding.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
That concludes the presentation of regular agenda items. Turning now to the carrying agenda, we recommend the adoption of the first item, with regard to the Pike County Light and Power Company general rate increase proceeding.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
And with regard to the second matter pertaining to Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania's 1307F purchase gas proceeding, there is the joint motion of Commissioner Cawley and Whitmer.
So moved.
Second.
Or was it delayed second?
I was waiting for the motion.
Excuse me. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Cawley for purposes of the joint motion with Commissioner Whitmer. Commissioner Cawley.
Thank you, Chairman. As my previous statement with Commissioner Brown, I asked that this one with Commissioner Whitmer be placed in the record as if I had read all of it. This is a joint petition for partial settlement in Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania's 2014 1307F proceeding. Commissioner Whitmer and I concur that the joint petition for settlement should be approved. However, the evidence provided in this case demands a further review of the existing universal sharing mechanism between now and the next 1307F proceeding by Columbia in order to provide more information for the parties to obtain a just allocation of future net revenues. In short, what Commissioner Whitmer and I are addressing here is the allocation of certain revenues between purchase gas costs and Columbia's choice customers. The matter was not dealt with adequately, we feel, in this proceeding, and we would like a number of questions which are listed in the motion to be addressed by Columbia in their pre-filing in their next 1307F proceeding. These questions in this motion direct Columbia to present an evaluation of whether the existing purchase gas cost sharing mechanism credits between the purchase gas commodity costs and the purchase gas demand charge should be modified. Secondly, a contested issue in the case involved a request by Glenn Geary, a member of the Columbia Industrial Interveners in the case, that asked Columbia to allow Glenn Geary to transport on the Texas Eastern Transmission Interstate Pipeline and deliver to that pipeline's Emmetsville delivery point into Columbia's system during the months of the year, during certain months of the year. Columbia denied this request due to the purported impact this change would have on the gas costs of sales customers. Columbia's denial was upheld by the administrative law judge, and we do not propose to alter that decision. However, we strongly urge Columbia to continue to work with Glenn Geary to develop an alternate mutually agreeable supply scenario that addresses Columbia's operational concerns and Glenn Geary's requested relief, and which would, of course, appropriately balance the impacts on other Columbia customers. Therefore, we move that the Office of Special Assistance prepare an order consistent with this motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the joint motion passes unanimously. That concludes our agenda here this morning, but we do have two items that come before the commission. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Whitmer for purposes of the Lifeline Awareness Month resolution, and Commissioner Whitmer, I'd like to recognize you for that. I'm being told I have to gavel out, but we're gonna overrule that.
All right, then.
you.
You are the chairman, so you get to
That's
make
right.
those decisions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This year, the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners, the Federal Communications Commission, and the National Association of State Utility Consumer Advocates, along with the telecommunications industry, are designating September 8th through September 4th as National Telephone Discount Lifeline Awareness Week. We're pleased that the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission is joining those organizations to further support and promote this year's activities. As we noted at the beginning of public meeting, the nation and certainly the families and friends of all of those who gave their life in Shanksville for the protection of our nation's capital mark today's anniversary of 9/11. It's even more important for all of us in today's increasingly interconnected world to make sure that we have a lifeline to emergency services and to families and friends. The Lifeline program provides this crucial financial assistance for qualified consumers so that no one goes without telephone service. We encourage consumers to contact their telecommunications providers to learn more about the program and whether they qualify for financial assistance for either a landline or a cell phone, so that they can reach a first responder, family, friends, or an employer. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitmer. The last item here this morning is I want to recognize, I see him in the audience, but Kirk House is celebrating his 40th birthday. Excuse me. I know how old you are, and I'm not going to say anything this morning, Kirk, other than to say happy birthday on behalf of the commission and my colleagues. I'm not going to sing happy birthday, though. I'll do that in my office for you, okay? On that note, we're adjourned.